Boker Tov, Rabbi Patrick, and anyone else listening to these Theodicy Reflections. This is my Theodicy Reflection number 2. So I'm going to just speak from some notes this morning around the prompted questions in the class requirements. So, what is the evolution of Jewish theodicy and the thinking around it? I think the overall evolution is one where evil has a very real explanation. Evil existing in the world has a very clear explanation of a God that either is allowing evil to exist or is, in fact, punishing sin, and therefore the rational explanation for evil is this all powerful God and human sin. Really, this is all over the Torah for sure. And then the rabbinic solution to this problem of theodicy, namely why bad things happen to good people, is essentially olam haba, that in the world to come there will be justice, and that's the resolution to the problem of theodicy. As a modern human being, that's not terribly satisfactory, I suppose, in my head. But further to the evolution, I think you really can see the power of the Rambam's philosophical approach in sort of shaping, kind of as an inflection point around this issue, and shaping modern and contemporary Jewish thought in his total shift around the meaning of God and what God is, and that God is not cannot be anthropomorphized, and that God is not responsible for evil in the world in his notion, and um, and you really, in my view, can see a lot of the evolution of Kaplan's thought, Fromm's thought, uh, or the seeds of it in Maimonides' philosophical rationalism, and awareness that um, that humans are here and can affect day-to-day life by their own actions. Um, so, um, is it a good thing that that's how things have evolved? That there isn't this comforting God? At the end of your lecture, Rabbi Patrick, you reference this in a certain way. This non-anthropomorphic idea of God um, is sort of cold and doesn't necessarily comfort. Maybe even the idea that whether there is an afterlife or not may not be, or that there may not be, is not necessarily comforting to someone in pain or someone near death. Um, so some of the imagery from Psalms, some of the imagery from the Torah or from Midrash that could be used to comfort people in a pastoral care setting is pretty far removed from the theology of a Kaplan, for instance, or maybe a Steinberg. So I'm not sure it's a good thing necessarily. So um, which theology do I find myself most connected to? It's funny, I joined a Reconstructionist synagogue a number of years ago. I never really read Kaplan in detail, and the summary of Kaplan in Finding God, I find myself very aligned to that that God is sort of a moral principle that in our lives we can aspire to, we can be drawn to, we can be encouraged through prayer to more closely adapt to and to evolve to, and that by doing that, um, we can make the world a better place. Uh, that is essentially kind of how I see my own theology. Um, so maybe sort of my final reflection is the more I experience life and so many challenges and so much suffering in the world, um, the more, including in my own life, the more I've simply come to radically accept that suffering and evil is, and maybe suffering that seems completely unattached to a person's morality, is just a part of the world we live in and a part of the life that we're all going to experience. And so the question becomes, what can you do about that? And to me, the only idea that I find myself gravitating to is asking myself, what can I control? What impact can I have? What can't I control? And accept that there are so many things that are outside of my control, including quite frequently other people's actions. So, um, this is the direction that I find myself moving in, and saying, how can I wake up every day and do something positive in the world, and add a little bit to the goodness that is in the world. I find that a lot of that could be in a Buberian sort of relational way. How can I act in a way that is less selfish in relationships, not just close relationships, but maybe not so close relationships, um, and to enhance goodness in the world through having more positive relationships. That seems to me to be a way, following some of the Kaplan language, to co-partner with God to make the world a better place. The final thing in my reflection, which is lengthy, is something that Martin, our cohort mate, said at the end of one of his sermons in our homiletics class. He finished his sermon with this: "Ken yehi ratzon," and may it be our will too. I just love that. And I think that that is so aligned with this idea that we must act in the world, not just rely on God's will, but we must act in the world. So that na'aseh v'nishma idea, I really appreciate. And todah rabbah for that, Martin.